We're here at Lennoxtown to speak to the Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou, who recently took charge of his 100th game. So we wanted to speak to him about 5 games that have defined his first 100, but not the obvious ones like cup finals and derby wins. We want to speak to the manager about what we've chosen as the 5 other games that defined his first 100. And the first game that we've picked out is the Kyogo's first hat-trick in the 6-0 win against Dundee. He had just signed and played in the 2-1 defeat to Hearts. He then scored in the win over Jablonec in the Europa League qualifier. He was the player you wanted to bring to the club early on to give the fans some early hope and an early indication of the type of attacking play and hard work you wanted to instil. His early form did a lot to help bring the fans with you on that early part of the journey. That hat-trick at Celtic Park and his Celtic Park debut was huge.
Yeah, it was. As you said, in those early days, whilst I was trying really hard to sort of put the framework together of what I wanted to do in terms of not just the playing squad, but the way we wanted to play our football. There was very little evidence of it for the supporters. Certainly our results weren't really anywhere a reflection of the team we wanted to be in our performances. Similarly, there was some encouragement there. So, I knew that the first sort of key signings I made would be really important to that. I think for any supporter base, particularly ours, if the team performance isn't there, if you can excite them with individuals in the initial bit, then that helps. And Kyogo was kind of it was my banker. I had no doubt he would be successful. His debut against Hearts, he literally walked into the meal room at lunchtime and I introduced him to the boys and I put him on the bench. But I knew after that once he was up and running that he would be exciting for the fans and he'd be a good footballer for us in terms of getting the goals we need. And that was hugely important in that early period because I think the support I got from the terraces in that early part was on the back of, okay, we haven't seen the real evidence of a team yet, but we can see the individuals within that in the context of the kind of football we want to play.
The second game we've selected is the 2-0 home win against AZ Alkmaar. A huge game, having dropped down from the Champions League. We had beaten Jablonec, but Alkmaar were a real quality side. It was also the first year of the Europa Conference, but the implications of dropping out of 2 European competitions at that stage would have been difficult for the fans, even though you're just trying to rebuild. Kyogo and that own goal, that was a huge game.
Yeah, it was, because I understood how important Europe is to this football club. So, on the back of sort of the previous season, obviously we had no success. I felt there was a couple of key things we needed to sort of lay some markers down. One is, in my first year, we needed to have some tangible success. By that I mean trophies, and my goal was us obviously finish champions, but winning the League Cup helped that as well, but also making an impact in Europe. And after the disappointment of the Michelin games, where there was no way we were anywhere near ready for those games, but you're still close enough in the contest where you're going, we could have made at least another step towards that. I certainly didn't want to sort of drop out down to the conference as kind of our first year in European football. And, we'd done our analysis, and AZ were a good side at the time, and a couple of their players have moved on to some really big clubs right now, and it was a good challenge for us. But it was also my first real taste of a Celtic Park European night, and I think it was for the new group of players as well, and really enjoyed that night. I thought it was a taste for us of things to come in terms of, if we can get ourselves back up to Champions League football, playing against the big guns, there's going to be some special nights here.
The third game we've selected is from the 15th of December of that year, and it's the late winner against Ross County up in Dingwall, scored by Anthony Ralston. The team lineup, when you look at it, you had injuries. Your front 3 were Montgomery, Abada and Juranovic. Abada made it 1-0 early on. Ross County got the equaliser. Carl Starfelt then got sent off. It looked like we would get the draw before just that commitment and drive got us over the line.
Yeah, otherwise known as the Anthony Ralston game. Tony got into Celtic folklore. Yeah, look, December was a real tough grind for us, not because of our performances were strong, but we had some horrendous injuries. You know, we obviously won the League Cup, and then we lost Kyogo, and we lost a whole host of players. Like I said, I think we had some COVID issues around the time, and we were barely patching a team together. And you know, that form in terms of the league, you know, in my mind, you know, I kind of knew getting into January, we'd already earmarked a couple of, you know, at least 2 or 3 players to come in. So I thought, all right, we're going to finish strong, but we've got to stay in touch.
Celtic still have it. They need to get the ball in the box. Rogic, it's a good cross. It's a chance. It's a goal! Yeah! Anthony Ralston for Celtic in the 97th minute.
To do that, we had to, you know, just put in a couple of performances, enormous ones, and you know, that was one of them. I think we might have even been down 10 men that game. I can't remember.
Yeah, Starfelt got sent off.
Carl got sent off. So, and I think that's where one of the trademarks of this team, when they talk about this team, it's obviously about the football and you know, the relentlessness, but also the resilience and character. That was, I think, where it was born, because you know, against all odds, depleted, down to 10 men. 1-1, you'd say for the most part, or I'd take that result and move on. But you know, Tony got up at the far post, and a legend was born, mate.
The fourth game we've chosen going into 2022 is the late Liel Abada winner against Dundee United at Celtic Park. We went into that weekend 4 points behind Rangers, knowing that we had them next at Celtic Park. Rangers then drew against Ross County in the early kick-off, so we knew if we could beat Dundee United, we would then have the chance to go top of the league for the first time that season with a derby win in the next game, again going down to 10 men after Nir Bitton gets sent off. But the way that goal from Liel Abada was celebrated, not just by the players but the supporters, you could feel how important that win was.
Juranovic has got Jota out wide, edge of the box. Still Jota, curls it across. It's a chance for Abada. He's scored! Abada has scored! We're into added time, and Celtic have the breakthrough. Disraeli with his 12th goal for Celtic. It's a breakthrough for the 10 men. 1-0, and there's 5 minutes extra time.
Yeah, it's fair to say that's one of the games, probably the most, where, you know, you feel what it's like when 60,000 people are nervous, even before kick-off, because there was just a real tension in the stadium. Like you said, we kind of knew what the other result was, and we knew we had the derby in a few days' time, and the supporters were just willing us to make sure that we won this game any way we could, and I felt that the players felt that tension as well, you know, in our performance. Like I said, we go down to 10 men, but as I said, I think the resilience and character of the group is unquestioned, because in those moments, they always find a way to get the job done. And you know, again, down to 10 men, you'd almost say, well, take your point and make sure that, you know, you're going to the next game still in touch. But you know, if you watch the vision of that, I think it's Juranovic storming down the right. I think Jota storming down the right, Liel, and I think maybe a young Benny Doka in the middle. And we're still thinking about scoring goals even with 10 men in the last minute. And you know, Liel took his goal awfully well, but it just further emphasised that point about this team and its resilience.
And then the final game, Ange, is into this season. It was the away win, the record away win against Dundee United at Tannadice. You had said at the end of the previous season on your speech on the pitch that we would come back bigger and better. We had won the first 4 games of the season, but 9-0 away from home, record-breaking. That really proved that even though the fans enjoyed you saying that, you actually meant it, and this was evidence that it was bearing fruit.
Yeah, true. And my wife thought I meant the bigger bit as well, because I did come back a bit bigger, so I had to address that pretty early on in the piece. But yeah, look, it was. I thought it was important this year that after the success of last year, that there was evidence early on that we hadn't stood still. I think we did that with the players we signed, and our football had to go to another level. And you know, you look at our performances early start of the year, we wanted to start strong. It was a different build-up for us this year, no Champions League qualifiers or European football. So all we had to guide us was the season proper, and we couldn't take 2 or 3 games to get going, and I thought the lads did that from the first game. We were on it, and then we just improved through it. And yeah, that day was quite extraordinary, because people reflect on the scoreline, but I'm pretty sure it was 0-0 till about the 41st minute. So we scored 9 goals in less than an hour, which is in terms of the amount of goals. We just everything was sort of clicking that day, and Kyogo had a great day, but all our attacking players and the boys sort of got a lot of confidence from that, and it certainly laid down a marker early in the year that whatever we achieved last year, we'd kind of put to bed, and our focus was being on being a stronger team this year.
And just finally, as a bit of feedback from my team, who spent a bit of time trying to come up to think of the 5 non-obvious games that defined your first 100 games. How have they done?
Yeah, not too bad. There's a couple more I would have plucked out of there, but
you've got to pick 5.
Yeah, that's true. I've got to save something for my book, so there we go. All right.